Hey, what's up? This is Tasha. Why my head look like this? Anyway, today is April 15th, 2018. This is the last day to do your taxes. No, I'm serious. It's a Sunday, so I don't think anything is really open, but whatever. I'm wearing these glasses. They do not help me at all. These are my husband's glasses, actually, but I put them on for the sake of this video. I've mentioned this in quite a few of my videos, but I never made a video going in depth about my vision. I have low vision. I'm visually impaired. I am totally blind in my right eye, and I have low vision in my left eye. My left eye is very blurry. For those of you that do not know, I was not born like this, okay? My vision problems started around 2013. It was early September 2013. I was finishing up a course, and like the last 2 or 3 days of this course, I began to experience some severe eye pain. Initially, I thought I was coming down with pink eye because of the pain, but then after a day, I said, well, there is no itchiness, it's not watery, and it's not pink, so it has to be something else. So after I finished my course, I went to the emergency room and I described what was going on, the eye pain and things like that. So I was later admitted into the hospital. While I was in the hospital, I had an MRI done. I think I had two, I'm not really sure, but I know I had MRIs performed, and obviously some blood work done. So I was told that I had optic neuritis. Okay, so it's basically inflammation of the optic nerves in the eye. And I was also told that optic neuritis can sometimes be a symptom of multiple sclerosis. I was also told that the pictures that came up from the MRI showed that I had lesions on my brain. So with that being said, the lesions, the eye pain, all of that, multiple sclerosis, I was really afraid. And I didn't know what to do. So when I heard about the multiple sclerosis, the first person I thought about was TV talk show host and TV personality Montel Williams. If you do not know, Montel Williams has been living with multiple sclerosis for quite some time. I'm not sure exactly how long, but it's probably been about a decade now, give or take. And he had went public about it, and he, basically poured his heart out about what he experiences, the pain, but he still perseveres. He always been a healthy guy, working out, and he was in the Navy. So, he tried his best to take care of himself, but sometimes even when you take care of yourself, things happen. So anyway, I thought about him. I said, well, if Montel Williams is living with multiple sclerosis and he's thriving and still, doing what he has to do, then I'll be okay. And I know that there are other individuals with multiple sclerosis who still, work and they still have a life. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to just get through this. So I had to be put on prednisone for about a week or so. Oh, I hate that medication. It's a steroid, and it shoots your blood sugars like through the roof, and I'm already diabetic. It makes you want to eat everything like that isn't nailed down. And yeah. And it gives you the moon face and all kinds of things. It just was terrible. So I was on the prednisone for a while. I got weaned off of that, and I was okay. The only thing that was left over at that time, I had a gray spot in my left eye, like a small gray spot. But other than that, my vision was 20/20. So fast forward to 2015, I had my miscarriage, and that was in January of 2015. Memorial Day weekend of 2015, my vision was going crazy. And I never forget, because I was watching Love and Hip Hop. I'd never forget when Yandy was getting married, and I was like, why does everything look so weird on the TV? I'm adjusting I'm like, what? And I'm not putting two and two together. So when I woke up the next day and everything was extremely blurry, I just said to myself, this is probably the multiple sclerosis, the optic neuritis, intensifying. That's the only thing I could think of at the time. So the same day, I had a doctor's appointment. So I managed to walk to the doctor. I could hardly see, but I walked to this doctor. This is a new doctor. So I told her what happened. She checked my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was through the roof. And if you remember from the miscarriage video, I had mentioned that all throughout the pregnancy, my blood pressures were just high. They were very high, despite of me taking blood pressure medication, despite of my diet, despite of everything. My blood pressure just would not go to normal. If my blood pressure was 160 over 90, that was good. And I know that's not good, but for me, 160 over 90 was good. So anyway, I had to be admitted into the hospital again. So I was told that once my blood pressure gets stabilized, my vision should be a little bit better. My blood pressure did stabilize. My vision did not get any better. So in June of 2015, I was diagnosed again with ischemic optic neuropathy. So basically that's disease of the optic nerves, okay? And that's usually caused by high blood pressure and or diabetes. But more than likely for me, it was the high blood pressure, because the blood pressure just got out of control. It has stayed out of control for a long time. So when I got that diagnosis, the doctor told me, well, the way your vision is now, it should stay like that. You won't go completely blind. So I'm like, okay, I can live with that. So I had went to a program, and they basically got me linked up with someone to teach me how to use a long cane. And that was cool because I still was able to travel on my own. I would take the bus, take the train. I didn't like taking the train too much in New York City with a long cane, because people, they do not care. They will see you with a long cane going back and forth, and they will bump into you. People can be very cruel. And I've even had someone tell me, why are you using that? You're not blind, because I don't quote unquote look blind. Okay, whatever. But I understand what they mean when they say that, but you can't just necessarily look at someone and tell if they have a visual impairment or not. Usually when you see a blind person that their eyes are kind of closed and things like that, usually they have been blind since birth, or they have been blind for like a very long time. And they just, they're used to not opening their eyes a lot. So that's where that comes from. So people would think I'm just using a long stick just for fun. And no, that wasn't the case. So I still got to travel and do things, and I felt kind of good about that. I was even considering going back to school. This is after I finished cooking school. And I even thought about getting a job as a cook, because I saw a video of a young lady that works here in the city in Hell's Kitchen, and she is completely blind, and she works in a restaurant. So that right there, I'm like, well, if she can do it, then hey, why not? But it just didn't happen. But she did inspire me. And another young lady from one of these cooking competitions, she was totally blind, and she would make these awesome dishes. And so those individuals kept me inspired to continue on cooking because I do love to cook. It's been a while since I've cooked. My husband does most of the cooking now, but when I get in the kitchen, I love to do my thing, and it's great. So anyway, so I didn't do that. I didn't cook. I didn't go back to school or anything like that. I had a fall in my bathroom a few months after the diagnosis of the ischemic optic neuropathy. So when I fell, I cut my toe. I ended up losing my leg. In the meantime, while I was learning how to walk on the prosthetic leg, my kidneys failed. And then I came out of the rehab. The next year, I lost my other leg. So everything basically just happened back to back to back. And I haven't really had the opportunity to actually cope with this. Okay, I really haven't had the opportunity. I deal with it from day to day. And some people might say, well, you're doing pretty well, but I haven't really gotten a chance to sit and wrap my head around everything that has taken place in my health. And some people just don't understand that. And I would like to say this. I am not looking for pity. I hate pity. I don't want it because pity doesn't necessarily mean that someone cares about you. They just feel sorry, feel like, oh, too bad, so sad. They won't come out and say that to you, but that's basically how they feel. Not looking for pity. I just wanted some type of understanding, because it's hard. I understand that it's hard for individuals that known you for a long time and they see you one way and now they see you a different way, and they have to cope with it as well. And sometimes people, they just want to see you do better so bad they don't understand that it is a process. It is a process. The same way if I had been in a car accident and lost my legs, I would still have to learn to walk again. I would still have to learn how to deal with this new way of living. So it's not about, oh, I'm feeling sorry for myself, but it's like I have to cope with this new normal, and it's not easy. It's not easy. From being able to walk, see, not have to be on dialysis, being able to work, pursuing a new career, newly married, everything, and then within a matter of months, it's all gone. It's all gone. I mean, I'm still alive and I'm grateful, but physically things, have been very difficult. And have I pushed people away? Yeah, I have. I'm not proud to say that, but I have pushed I really pushed the people away that I feel that they don't get it. Like, they don't get it. I'm not pushing individuals away that I know sincerely care about me. Those I'm going to have in my corner. But the individuals that it's like they can't get the fact that I have to go through this process, I have to push them out of my life, because it's like, if you can't understand that this is a process, then what are you in my life for? Like, I'm not looking for yes people. Like, everything, yes, Tasha, yes, yes, yes. No. My husband, he let me know sometimes, like, you gotta, be strong. You gotta, hold your head up. You gotta move forward. I get that a lot. I get that from my sister. I get that from my friends. I get that. But just somebody just flat out not understanding that this is a process, a new way of life that I have to embrace and get used to. I can't have such individuals in my life. Just like when a person has been on drugs for 20 years and they are getting cleaned up, that is a process. You don't just stop using drugs overnight. Not usually. I mean, I've heard, excuse me, I'm scratching my nose. I'm sorry, I'm not doing this video again. I've heard of stories of people, they stop abusing drugs. Excuse me. I have to scratch my nose. I'm sorry. And I'm not doing this video again. Excuse me. Okay. So, yeah, like if they can't see that, in the sense that this person has to go through a process, you have, been living one kind of way all your life or most of your life, and now you're trying to do something different. It's a process. It's you have to change. And some people, they just don't get it, that sometimes people change. Whether it's for the good or the bad, people change. So anyway, back to the whole story about my vision. I just have to learn how to do things differently now. Like if I want to cook, I have to have assistance. I can't just go in the kitchen and just get cooking. I've watched many videos on ways to cook efficiently when you are visually impaired or blind. And they really came in handy. Excuse me. Some things I just like put two and two together, and I'm like, well, I'm going to have to use this kind of pot instead of this kind of pot in order to make food without messing up my stove, wasting food. If I want to make some ground beef and I want to brown it in the pan, I have to use a big pot instead of a skillet. Because sometimes when you stir and you can't really see what you're doing, you're going to have ground beef all over the stove. So, and one more thing. When this really first began to happen to me, I became very desperate for help because I'm like, where are the other women out here who are blind, who are visually impaired? I am a mom. What kind of mom am I going to be now that I can hardly see anything? How can I help my son with his homework? How can I do that? I had so many questions. So I began putting posts on my Facebook page, my old Facebook page. And I'm like, if you know somebody out there who is a mother and they are visually impaired or blind, please give them my phone number. So I had, if they would inbox me, I would give them my telephone number. And yeah, so this one sister from my Facebook, she knows somebody who is a single mom, 3 children, visually impaired for many, many years. And we talked on the phone. And just to hear her speak and, talk about the struggles that she went through, losing her husband and all kinds of things happening to her, and she still persevered. She still is a mom. She still took care of her children. And I don't know what had happened to her since then. Unfortunately, I lost contact with her. But, she, up until that point, she was still doing what she had to do for her family. And I got an opportunity to start going to a group. But because of my dialysis schedule, I can't go to the group anymore because it's in the mornings. And I go to dialysis in the mornings and I cannot change my time. I've been waiting for an early time for like over a year. And I got an early time, so I cannot just, not go to dialysis. But prayerfully, if I meet any more mothers who are blind, visually impaired, that would be great because, I have friends, I have people, but they cannot understand what I go through. Yes, they support me. Yes, they encourage me, and I appreciate that. But they cannot understand what I go through day to day. Only someone else who's going through the same thing as me or similar to the same thing can understand. That's just like someone, like before I said, who was on drugs. They can talk to someone else, who has been on drugs as well. They can identify, they understand what it was like to be on drugs. So the same thing with me. Another woman another mom can understand, another mom who is blind or visually impaired can understand what I am feeling, what I am going through. And so that's really all I have to say. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. Please subscribe, like, share. And until next time, this is Tasha. Talk to you soon. Be blessed.